Wow. Brilliant stuff there from the Brazilians. They won by 4-1. The dances even make the game even more exciting. We've missed the dancing Brazilians. We've had some great Brazilian teams. We probably didn't dance as much, but these guys are enjoying themselves. Wow.
I'm enjoying myself.
The entire game, I didn't celebrate the first goal. I wanted it to put Paquetá. Second goal, I was waiting for Paquetá's goal. When I saw him running and I saw that ball in the air, I was like, yes. I finally got
the dance is on.
You know what I liked? When they scored their goal, the person who celebrates their goal, the whole team will come and do a huddle.
Then they do individual.
Then they wait. Then some people wait a new choreography. And before Paquetá scored, they were laughing at him that he hadn't done it. He had just come to do choreography. Because every dance he was giving instructions. He was passed.
Wow. This.
You know, and my favorite part was when Chichi got in on the ass, because apparently he had been asked to dance by the team and refused. So Richarlison said, if I score, you dance. He said, okay, I'll dance. So once Richarlison scored, he had to dance.
We saw two parts. So the second half, Brazil had scored 4. There was nothing really the Koreans could do. But guys, is that first stuff enough to tell us all we need to know about Brazil in this competition?
Yes and no.
Okay.
For me, it shows that when things go well for them and they're attacking and the chances come, they will punish you, because it was a very good finish by Vinicius. Again, I've been saying this for a while. Neymar is the best penalty taker in the world. So if they get a penalty and it's Neymar, I expect it to be a goal. Richarlison, that 1-2 and that finish, great movement, great finish. And even the fourth goal, the defense was kind of trying to. And the fact that Vinicius could spot the runner and Paquetá came in and finished that, it shows that there's a variety to their attacks. They can do different things. So that was good. What I didn't like is I felt that they didn't suffocate the game enough in the second half. And that might be an issue if you are maybe 2 goals up. Because I think maybe because they were 4 goals up, they were a bit lax. But Korea were getting some chances. Korea got a few chances. I was thinking to myself, these guys should have been a bit more compact. I guess maybe when you're 4-0 up, it's easy to kind of, take your foot off the gas, kind of be a bit like. So I didn't like that part. But maybe it might be because they were 4 goals up, not necessarily because they lacked the control. But you also have to consider the fact that this was not their first team, in the sense that Alexandro was not there. Either Militao was playing right back. So maybe when Alexandro and Danilo are both playing, they both have their first choice fullback. We might see a bit more control, because if this is not your first choice lineup, it can mean different things, because different players do different things in their team. So all those things should be considered. And so, I like the way Brazil were moving the ball. It was great. And it's almost like once Neymar came back, it's like they switched him back on. Because the first half against Serbia, they struggled a bit. He went off. I don't remember if he finished the game, but he didn't play the next 2 games. They kind of struggled a bit to create chances. They did create a lot of chances against Cameroon, but the finishing was not there. But again, that was the second unit, quote unquote. Because by the end of that game, the only player who hadn't played was Weverton, who eventually did come on in this game. So you can't. The Cameroon game is not a good judge, but what I liked about the first 2 games is that they didn't allow a shot on target in the first 2 games. Alisson's first shot on target he faced was this game. So you could see that they were able to control the game and make it difficult. But I guess once they were 4 goals up, they kind of let that go. But that's what stood out to me. They are very difficult to get chances against. So the chances that came in the second half, is it a lack of concentration, which would cost them later, or because they were 4 goals up and I'm being ultra critical? But then again, it's our job to ask these questions and pay attention to these details. But when they are attacking well, and for me, that's the problem right now. Because if you are someone defending, if you are any team defending Brazil, and Neymar and Vinicius on one side, how are you going to deal with that? Are you going to move 4 players into the right back zone to kind of deal with those 2 players? Because if you move 4 players there, what does that mean for the rest of your defense and the rest of the pitch? So their attacking talent it warps game plans, and there are certain players like that. They just demand so much attention. It can mess up your whole game plan and make you unable to play. And maybe that's what worked for Brazil. They don't necessarily need to be so dangerous, but the fact that you have certain players just existing, it will warp the game plan of a coach completely. So maybe if your best attacking player is your right winger, you might think to yourself, maybe I should play him on the left and play another fullback on the right to kind of cope with this. So all these things. But I think this win is more psychological, and I think it helps. It does two things. It gives the Brazilians confidence going into the next game, and it will scare the other teams because you saw them score 4 goals with cheeky ease. There was no effort in the 4 goals. They didn't really have to. They didn't seem to even be playing at their top level, and the 4 goals just came. So what's going to happen when they really hit top form? So I think this is a great win for Brazil because it puts everyone on notice. Because this is one of the most dominant performances we've seen aside the Spain Costa Rica.
Okay. Daniel, that first half, and we'll look at it from what we saw in terms of Brazil's attack. Is it, when you look at that first half and you look at everything that went on, is that the culmination of Chichi's work over the last 3-4 years getting this team together? Because I look at the Richarlison goal, and that's a goal that is almost instinctive, the passing, the movement, the run. Is it him looking at it, is it, wow, this is what I have built, and this is what I've put together?
That is exactly what it is. It's been a work in progress. Even when they won the Copa America, they were not playing this well. They were more like the group stages Brazil that we saw. We've seen some of these performances during the qualifiers where there are days where they just come out and they feel like, let's just show these guys that we can samba, we can play this sort of football. And they come out and they showcase it and they go. I love this Brazilian team because they have the ability to elevate their performances depending on the opposition. They can, and that's why I'm not reading too much into the second half. You could clearly tell that they had dropped off. If you have a coach dancing at the third goal, if you have him bringing on his third choice goalkeeper, changing, giving Dani Alves around, giving Martinelli almost immediately after the second half starts, you can tell that he probably had told them, look, the game is done. Don't go and overexert yourselves. And I understand that because you pushed very hard in the first game, ended up losing Neymar. You don't want to lose any of your key players again. So once we are 4-0 up, there's no way, even if Korea scored 2, okay, fine, let's add 2 more. And it would have been that easy for them to add 2 more. Because in as much as Korea got chances in the second half, Brazil also had some very good opportunities in the second half. There just wasn't that conviction there. And that is what I love about this team. We saw a different Brazil in the group stages, and they were very calculated in the group stages, went about their business, trying to pick their moments. This time around, and I think it was just down to the homework. If you watch Korea during the group stages, we played them, so we know. Defensively, they were not the best. They had a way of trying to wear down their opposition, and that's what they did to Portugal in that game. But even that game against Portugal, we were watching the Ghana game, so I went back to it because I'm half Portuguese, So I went back to watch that game again. And the Portuguese themselves have sort of taken their foot off the pedal. They were not, no disrespect to Korea, but they wanted that game more. But in this game against Brazil, they needed the win. Look, the spaces that Korea had shown in the group games, you just knew that Brazil will punish them. And I could sense that it was going to be that style of, and this type of win, because of the first 5 minutes. When the game started, Brazil showed in 1 or 2 attacking patterns that, look, they were really going to hammer these guys. In the overloads, the amount of players they had committed into attacking positions, you could tell that they wanted to get this and get this done with very quickly. And for me, this is scarier than the Spain-Costa Rica game. Because, the Spain-Costa Rica game, you could tell from the body language of the Costa Ricans that they had given up. They were literally just walking. In this game, Korea are actually showing effort, but Brazil were still pummeling them. And that's the thing. This is a Korean team. Maybe the highlights will not showcase all these things. But even when it was 2-0, 3-0, Korea was still making attacking incursions. They were committing players. They were going into tackles. But nothing was coming out of it because the yellow shirts were everywhere. Every touch was good. Tackle on point. Pass, decision-making, brilliant. Yeah, and you don't want the Brazilians to get into this mood when the competition progresses. And look, I feel sorry for the Croats because this is a team that, if Brazil turn it to next year and they decide to run hard at them, they are killing them. If Croatia also want to play the game to their tempo, play it slow, Brazil know how to do that. If they want to make it physical, Brazil know how to do that. And Brazil's weakness in their fullbacks and their defense, the pace of their defense.
They have a tactical solution for it.
They have a tactical solution for it. And Croatia don't have the profile of players they have. They don't have that pace to be able to exploit it. If you want to try and cross, they have Eder Militao, they have Marquinhos, they have Thiago Silva. These guys are comfortable with everything. So let's look past the Croatian round. And let's look at who will likely face
Argentina or
Argentina or the Netherlands, which would probably be the Netherlands. But I think that is where the test will come. Although I still feel like they will beat those two with
the one team, I actually feel like they will have an issue with Argentina, because if you look at their last 5 games, it looks like Argentina have a number on them.
It's different when they face Argentina.
Of course,
That's what I'm saying. It seems like Argentina have a number on them in the recent games, because that Copa America final, for example,
dirtiest game of football I've seen
in the last 10 years. You will be surprised. There was no Neymar, fair enough, but you would still be. No, Neymar was there. Sorry, it was the one they won that he wasn't there. But you'd be surprised that even then, with all their players, they just couldn't.
They couldn't tick.
They just couldn't find
and I guess and that's why they call it the Super Classico. Is that it's a big game. It's like all form goes out there, and it seems like Argentina in the last 5 or 6 meetings
just know how to play.
I just know how to play them.
Let's have a look at the data. Brazil's XG is crazy. 3.6. This is mad. An XG of 3.6. Dominated possession. Had more shots. The passing accuracy in the final third, okay, just about similar. The two teams did some good work entering each other's penalty area, but of course you can tell the shots.
But that's
18.
I look at the numbers for Korea in terms of the passing accuracy in the penalty area entries. I feel like that a lot of that was in the second half when the Brazilians had kind of cooled down. But that's the story of the game as well.
Yeah, and you have Brazil's 9 shots on target. They scored 4. Korea 6 shots on target, scored 1. And the son made he made 2 brilliant saves.
3,
one in
4.
either half. I saw 2. One in either half. The one close range, the other one.
I remember a friend was asking why Alisson over Ederson. And I said the only thing Ederson does better than Alisson is long balls. That's it.
That's it, really. Ederson is, well, he is good, but he's not a fantastic shot stopper.
No, you are comparing to Alisson. That's why. Alisson is
stopper. Ederson is very good.
Ederson is a very good goalkeeper.
But when you compare him to Alisson, you realize that the quality gap.
But Alisson is top 3 in the world, easily.
Yeah, he and Thibaut Courtois.
Maybe a third person.
Courtois didn't enjoy the World
Who's the third person you join them?
No,
maybe just the 2 of them.
Odd. My producer is telling me Edouard Mendy. We are sorry.
Let's be serious.
We cannot allow such names.
Someone who's a substitute keeper at this club.
What's that?
Someone who's on the bench at this club.
He alternates. It depends on what's going on. Anyway, what's
going on is that the other keeper is injured. That's why it's playing.
All right. Let's have a look at Brazil's group stage. Brazil's group stage numbers. So in terms of their shots, strangely enough, for all they've done, they scored only 3.
But the XG was there.
Yeah.
The chances
XG of 5.9.
Yeah, the chances
57 shots.
Almost double.
Yes, 0.10 XG per shot. 3 games.
I wonder what happened with that shot at the center circle. What was going on there? Can you see the
yeah, I guess.
Maybe somebody attempted to catch
it. Probably. We'll see. The shot locations, of course, the one slightly to the left, Casemiro's goal. The one on this other side was Richarlison.
The 2 are Richarlison's.
The 2 are Richarlison. One was a tap-in, a rebound type of thing.
That's the bigger circle, and then the smaller circle is the
bicycle kick, half bicycle kick, all that. It's interesting. They scored only 3 in the group stage, and then the round of 16, they 10
if you notice, their XG was not particularly high apart from the Cameroon game, where they also didn't score. I believe the Cameroon game, they got their XG to about 2 point something. So that will explain why it's almost like the XG flew, but there were no goals to show for it.
Okay. All right, let's look at the first half shots, the amount of shots Brazil took in their first half. So these were the shots, 4 of them, 4 goals, all in the 18-yard area.
But what's crazy is that half their group stage XG, they did it in one half of football. I think that's why it felt like they just turned up their tempo and decided to punish these guys. That's what it just looked like.
Yeah, they heard what people were saying. Let's remind them. Just like that, then they can go back to doing what they do.
Okay, so then we see Brazil.
Korea are lucky. Korea are lucky this half ended just 4-0. They are lucky. Why? Because I remember that Richarlison chance where he could easily have squared it to Neymar. He decided to go for goal, which was even a good decision, a very good save. And the rebound came to Neymar. He almost met it and he hit it over the bar. I think that was going to be 5-0. He should have cut it back to Paqueta to score so that he danced that.
To score, okay. Let's have a look at the full-time data. Okay, full-time data is here. Interesting. The Koreans, that red dot, of course, they are goal. We've seen all the numbers we need to see. Very interesting.
Yeah, they didn't get much quality in their chances.
None at all. Then let's see that the score data, and then maybe Susu can take us through, the.
So this is the momentum. So you
Yes.
can see when the Brazilians were kind of. So you can see in the second half, it's like Korea had a spell where it's like they were kind of attacking, they got their goal. But you can see that. I mean, after the second half, they kind of.
You can go to the screen and maybe.
Yeah. So you can see that after the second half, from here, it's almost like there was not that much effort comparatively, because you can see that it keeps rising. But and you can see the Koreans, even though they were trying to do their best, because we saw the momentum thing that they put that effort in, and they didn't really get much from it, and it just low quality chance. So that was a great goal. But look at the Brazilian goals. These are quality chances. Like once they get
Almost
you like this,
you are supposed to.
yeah, you're supposed. Once they got their 3 goals like this, even Paqueta's chance, because there are a lot of bodies, it's a volley. It's not considered a high quality chance, but so once they got here by the end of the half, I'm sure this is the Richarlison and Neymar chance you were talking about around here. Once they reached this point, they took their foot off the gas. And you can see from an attacking perspective, there wasn't much going on.
So when you can tell, so after 6 minutes or 7 minutes, Vinicius' chance, that also wasn't the clearest, because if you compare that to Neymar's goal, for example, he also had to go through bodies, even though he was in the box. Neymar's was a penalty, so that shoots your XG up by another 0.8. Alisson goal, huge one,
because like they created their big chances, just came back to back,
1, 2, 3,
and then after that they kind of were able to relax.
Bang, and it ended there.
And that goes to what Daniel was saying, that the Koreans left spaces, because to let a team get almost an XG of 2 within about the first 30-35 minutes, it's not good enough. Even if you take out the penalty, a 1.2 just like that is not good enough. You need to be more compact, and I don't know. Maybe the game plan didn't work, or maybe their quality just wasn't there.
They don't know how to play like that.
They don't know. I think they only play. They have a unidirectional style, which is just run at the opposition, and we see that just the flow of the game really. Brazil backing off in the second half, and then they ended it a little strongly from about the 80th minute to the 90th minute there. Interesting. Then from a Man United perspective, it was fun watching Casemiro.
Yeah, it was.
He's been one of the best players of the team.
He was brilliant.
I was just smiling just watching Casemiro. And I saw somebody's tweet and said, I'm watching Casemiro and I cannot believe he plays for Manchester United. I don't know whether the person was a United fan, I don't know, but I'm sure the person was watching, if we were United, with so much joy.
Look,
lovely player.
I really wish he got to play with Paul Pogba.
That would have been chaos.
Look, if you watch the freedom Paqueta had yesterday,
because he knew he
was just going. He just joined the attack, and it was an overload. Anytime Rafinha had the ball, it became a 2 against 1. At times, Paqueta would even drop into like a mid-zone because Neymar and Vinicius would overcome it. There were so many options, and he just knew that Casemiro was there to clean up. Anytime the ball comes, he intercepts back to attack straight. And he, even with his passing ability, could even spring up attacks. That's how good he is. He's not just your typical breaker. He also has that offensive sense. Even his late runs into the box. We saw it in the game against, was it Switzerland, where he scored the winner. His runs into the box. He has the technique also to shoot to finish. He was at the end of a couple of chances.
You remember when he hit the bar against, was it Serbia?
Serbia. He hit the post against Serbia. Then he scored a brilliant goal against Switzerland. Then yesterday, tail end of the first half, he sort of joined the attack. It was like, okay, fine, it's 4-0, it's my turn now. And then he moves into the attack. There was this ball where Rafinha cut it back to him. Unfortunately, he couldn't hit the target. But in that zone, you could just tell that, look, this Brazilian team.
It doesn't shock, because I always tell this story about when Casemiro went for his first trial. And he says to himself that he wanted to play strike. But when he said, who are the strikers? And there are about 40 people. This is maybe 100% trial. 40 people say they are strikers. thinking, like, hey, can I make it? When they said, who are the DMs? And the only 2 other DMs, they said, you know what? Let me play here and see, because I'm more likely to make it with less competition. Come on, the best DMs in the world. So maybe if you had kept at their strike, you have been a great player too.
Mm-hmm. Ghana, you made mention of Brazil's attacking tendencies and the overloads they tend to create. So they start off with the front 3 that we've seen. Mm-hmm. And then as the game evolves, and I started to notice this from a few months ago, and I saw it quite clearly when they played Ghana. Neymar starts to go towards the left, joins Vinicius. Sometimes there's a third person, the fullback. And then you see Paquetá and others also ganging up on this other side, Rafinha and Paquetá, whoever they play there. Very interesting setup, and I wonder how Tite stumbled on such a formula.
You know, the thing is, funny enough, I think it's similar to what Pep does in a way, in terms of the fact that the fullbacks come inside. Mm-hmm. So it's almost like, if you notice,
Kevin De Bruyne and the right wing.
Back then it was always David Silva, if you remember. Then Sane and Sterling will be very high and wide, and then in the half space, as they call it, we'll have Silva and De Bruyne, and then the striker Aguero usually doing his thing. It feels very similar, but in this situation, I think the attackers are a bit more direct. They have a bit more attacking freedom. They are not as, let's just keep the ball. They are trying to penetrate the box and make things happen. So that's a slight difference. But I think when he looked at the shape that Guardiola was employing at Man City, because Guardiola has not had flying fullbacks who are like going on the outside crossing since Barcelona. Since
his second season, in fact, that was the initial plan with Mendy and Kyle Walker.
Yes.
When Mendy got injured, that's when the plan
even
changed.
at Bayern, he kept them inside a lot because he's
and
become, you see, the times his Barca teams lost, a lot of the times because the fullbacks pushed forward and the space in behind, the centre backs couldn't cover there. So he has become obsessed with protecting his team from transition. He felt that rather than the fullbacks offering width and the wingers going in, the wingers should offer width and the fullbacks kind of come in. So he's been very reluctant to have flying fullback. He does it occasionally because if you remember against the Aston Villa game last season, Zinchenko was kind of flying in and playing crosses because they were looking for a goal. But when he's at rest and he's just he doesn't like his fullbacks to fly for it. He's realized that to protect transition, he prefers fullbacks kind of join the midfield and congest the space.
I think for Tite also it helps because of the current state of the profile of fullbacks that he has.
They are not very good.
They are not very good going. Eddie Militao is not a natural right back. So when he comes into that sense, it's almost like he's playing as a centre back found in a DM role, which he can function in.
Or even Danilo
Alexandro technically is brilliant.
And even Daniel Alves did that for Barca last season.
So that is when they find themselves in those situations, they have the technical know-how to be able to function very well. So I think he just found a system to accommodate everybody and get the best out of everyone. And what I admire about this Brazilian team is how we all can see the weakness. And it was a Switzerland game I expected that to come to the show. The Swiss just weren't able to get in behind them. Embolo is quick. Xhaka has a brilliant passing range. Shaqiri has a brilliant passing range. But they just couldn't get over the line. The press and the ability of Paqueta's defensive work and Casemiro to win the ball quickly in midfield just so that the Swiss couldn't quickly transition is something that is brilliant. And I was thinking that if this French team had Pogba and Kante, that's where I'll fancy France beating Brazil because of the ability of the midfielders to bypass the press and quickly get a pass in. But with Tchouaméni and Rabiot,
I think they are very good at the short passes.
The short passes,
keeping it neat.
They will need to spring it to the wide areas as quickly as possible. But I just don't see that happening. It's Brazil will win.
Like saying,
Brazil will win.
It's coming home. I have to learn their Portuguese for it's coming home.